uh, I got an email from someone in New Zealand who had a copy of the book sitting on a coffee table and picked it up, and that book has reconnected her with her sister. I'm touched all the time. Every email I get, it's just such a beautiful moment. I'm happy that it's out in the world.
So let's look at the end result, which is being sober. So today you're a very successful real estate person. 21 deals in your marketplace is a lot. Because an agent in your marketplace, if they do one or two, it's a big deal.
The average is less than one actually. I wanted to check to see where my standing was. Blown away. It was like 0.0001. I mean, less than one transaction for the average realtor in my community.
Per person.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
I was floored.
Well, how do you do 21? So what do you do every day to make sure that you can end up with, and again, for most of our viewers today, if you guys and gals all did 21 of any price range, it would be good. Okay? But 21 at 2.2 million is phenomenal. Okay? So let's look at that first. What are you doing to create 21?
I follow the system.
Okay.
I do. I mean,
but does it work in the high end?
Yeah. I love when you used to many times spit on the stage. But Mike, it won't work in my area. And again, fortunately for me, you were the first real estate trainer, the only real estate trainer I was introduced to, and I was one of those guys like you referred to as your story when you were hearing Earl Nightingale, Mike Vance, and Gunther Claus being right in the front audience, and I was like just soaking it up, every word that came out of your mouth. And for me, I didn't have a family or contacts, people to rely on for referral business. Where in my community,
well, you did, but they couldn't afford
not the right
much.
people.
Not the right people.
And so I had no other way. I was almost actually out of the business. I mean, I came to my first. It was a freebie session that you were offering in Burbank to the John Douglas Company, the company I was working with, and.
Actually, it wasn't a freebie. They paid me a fortune to put on a 4-day event for all of you folks.
Well, good for you and good for me.
And good for them, because it was a big thing for Jack and his company at that time.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, so for me, the only way I was able to attend was because it was free for me.
I think there were 500 agents that attended that 4-day event. I remember the event plain as day because it was a great event for me, my company, for the attendees, and for Jack and his company.
And I think for Matthew, I think that was his first time he spoke, or one of them, when you introduced him. He did a great job then and does even a better job today. So just, I didn't really have an option. For me, I was in my early 20s. I had no one to rely on that was going to be giving me business. I was failing miserably. My first year in the business, I made a whopping $3,500 gross income.
It's kind of what the average income is today for most of these agents.
From rentals.
Okay.
And my first 5 escrows had canceled. I mean, I was almost out of the business, and I kind of went to their seminar out of desperation, and the information I got, I just ate it up, and I never thought it couldn't apply to my area. For what it's worth, I actually have been, not necessarily anymore because I've fortunately have established myself enough, but I was ridiculed all the time from peers, other agents in the community.
For prospecting.
I had a manager pull me into the office and ask me to stop cold calling and stop door knocking because it was giving the office a bad reputation.
Isn't that great?
I said, Randy, there's nothing else I can do. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I don't have the contacts. I don't have the social networks.
I have no choice.
I don't have a spouse that's involved in society. I don't have the money for promotion and marketing, so you had to do it.
The good news for me at the time, they actually finally gave me a private office because I was standing up and cold calling in the PIN, with all the other agents. So they were like sick and tired of hearing me. They put me in a private office.
So you actually do prospect these high-end sellers and buyers
every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Good for you.
5 days a week. Saturday and Sunday I do not.
Yeah. And you go through the routine of the lead follow-up, and you make the listing presentation verbatim. And now
scripted,
You're talking about a $2 or $3 million home, and you're making the same listing presentation that some of our viewers would use on a $100,000 home. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
So there's really no difference between the high-end and any other properties. It's just the attitude of the agents walking in the door.
Mindset. And comfortability. And I think it was you that said it one time, like, talk to your clients as they're your friends, or just a conversation.
It's a conversation.
Yeah, and that actually was a very pivotal thing for me to hear, because before then I was referring to everyone by their last name, Mr. Ferry. I felt not worthy of, not like I deserved to be there with them, and constantly complimenting them. You know, oh, this is such a beautiful home. Oh, your closet's the size of my apartment, you know. And then I finally went, wait a second. No, they don't, I believe they don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
It makes them uncomfortable.
Sure it does.
And you said, talk to them in conversation. I mean, I sometimes high-five my clients.
Sure.
You know, I'm like so casual. I mean, I come in with a business approach. I'm always dressed in suit and tie. But a lot of times I'm high-fiving them and talking like I would any of my bros.
Sure. That's great. What's the biggest mistake you made in 2009 as a real estate agent?
Getting distracted by some of my investments.
Okay. Personal investments.
Personal investments, allowing them to distract me. And that would be one. My mindset, not thinking big enough.
Okay.
And on the technical and the skills, not pre-qualifying all my appointments before I go out.
Okay. I would imagine sometimes on the high end it's a little bit harder to do the pre-qualifying than it would be on a regular property.
It is, because sometimes the appointment's set up through a business manager, a lot of times, or for instance...
Set up through the attorneys and so
yeah,
forth.
and you know, and I make a judgment call. There's times where like I have 3 developers that I'm meeting with, or 3 partners. You know, I'm on the phone with one. I can't insist all the decision makers are being there, and I've got an opportunity. You know, both homes are priced at 3.5. I'm going.
Yeah.
You know, it's a 15-minute drive to their office. I'm just going to meet with one, and I had to meet with them individually.
Sure.
And I did it.
So if we take a look at 2010 this year, what's your production goal?
1.5.
Okay. 1.5 in terms of gross income. What is that in transactions?
My goal is 30. I just talked to Jose about that. I want it to be 30.
30 transactions.
Correct.
Now, I tell you, I can't stress to all of you folks enough to understand that to do 30 transactions at that price range is extraordinary. Okay? I mean, you're talking about $50 million worth of real estate or more. Okay? It's extraordinary. That's great. So what do you have to do different in 2010?
Sharpen all my skills, and I am I'm getting a lot of these poor investment things and just taking the loss and getting them out of my way. I don't want to, they've been causing me too much stress.
Sure.
You know, in some cases, you know, I'll lose a lot of money. But I thought about it and went, how much stress does it give me? I mean, like I own a property in Fiji, and it's in receivership and bankruptcy with the developer, and there's just all this stuff going on. I'm reading all these.
Throw it away.
Exactly. I'm like going to probably lose whatever money, but I would rather focus on just growing my business more. And I finally came to literally just a couple days ago. I went, you know what? Forget it. I'm letting it go. I can't deal with that anymore.
Cut the cord, move on.
I want to move on.
Yeah.
I want to grow.
It's 4 or 5 years from now, Rob. What is a number of transactions a person can do in this high-end market? And is there enough transactions to support what you want to do?
Great question, and I don't think anyone's ever broken the 30 mark that I know of. I mean, I'm in the top